Early this morning, the Build Back Better bill passed in the House. The vote was 220 to 213. One Democrat voted against it for reasons we'll get into. No Republican supported it. So many components of it, so much good it can do. Not one of more than 200 Republicans actually supported it. So it of course now has to go to the Senate, and the Senate is the cave in which Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema dwell. So God only knows what'll be left of it once it's done with them. But at least as of passing the House, it offers universal pre-kindergarten, generous subsidies for child care that extend well into the middle class, expanded financial aid for college, hundreds of billions of dollars in housing support, home and community care for older Americans, a new hearing benefit for Medicare, and price controls for prescription drugs. More than $500 billion would go towards shifting the US economy away from fossil fuels to renewable energy and electric cars, which is the biggest climate-focused investment in US history. The bill would cap insulin prices specifically at $35 per month for Americans with diabetes. The bill also guarantees 4 weeks of paid leave, which of course we sort of fairly uniquely as a country have never offered. Now, almost every single one of those things that I just listed were larger or stronger, funded longer, more all-encompassing before they were gradually whittled down over the course of the past few months. But even with what is left, this would be the largest investment outside of investment in the military, to be clear, that the US government has made in poor and working class and middle class Americans, at least in my lifetime. Although again, as I said, it does still have to go to the Senate. And we already know Manchin has said just this week he's still against paid leave being in there. God knows what he'll make of the climate-focused spending, considering his own personal investments.
Okay, so I want to be clear on both sides of this. So first of all, there was a ton of stuff taken out of this bill. I'm not at all happy with this bill. So first of all, let's just go through it real quick. The lowering of the drug prices they did is comical. It's tiny, it's minuscule. It's meant to mask the fact that they're not actually lowering drug prices. Dental and vision could have been covered under Medicare, that was stripped out. Free community college is gone. Half of climate change is gone. The funds dedicated to that. The billionaires' tax is gone. Moving any of the Trump tax cuts for the rich and for corporations is gone.
8 weeks of paid leave is gone.
That's right, it used to be 12 weeks of paid family leave, now it's down to 4 weeks. And in the negotiations, they were negotiating between 3.5 and 1.5. This lands at 1.75. So gee, I wonder who won. The conservative corporate Democrats won on the negotiations. Honestly, we got nearly slaughtered.
The CBO says, by the way, it's 1.63 in fact.
Yes, okay.
It's almost 1.5.
So I'm gonna get to how it's gonna be way worse in a second. But would I vote yes? Yes, I would. And so the provisions that remain, some of them are excellent, including a corporate minimum tax and all the things that John read you. And to me, if they had taken out lowering drug prices and paid family leave completely, then it would have been just a slap in the face, and none of the progressive, other than, universal pre-K is also in there. There'd be 1.5 progressive priorities left, and that's only because they were approved by corporate interests, like universal pre-K corporations really like, okay? And I would say, no, this was a farce of a negotiation. But they did put 4 weeks of paid family leave. You can call it anything you like, but it's the beginning of paid family leave in America, and the other provisions are excellent. Sometimes, as painful as it is, you gotta vote yes. But of course, the problem is not this version of the bill. Nothing is passed yet. This just passed the House. It's also gotta pass the Senate. They're gonna go to the Senate, and Manchin and Sinema are gonna shred this. And what's gonna remain is going to be an absolute joke. That's guaranteed, write it down in stone if they pass anything at all. We'll talk more about that in a second, but first, Morgan, what do you think of the bill overall?
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny this is, like John said, I mean, probably about the same age, one of the biggest investments we've certainly seen in our lifetime, sure. But we need to start focusing, and I know this audience is that it's not just Democrats, it's better kind of Democrats. And the fact that any of this stuff is really up for negotiation, that we're gonna be arguing about whether there should be paid family leave in this country, or whether or not we should have elderly folks that have access to vision and dental care as they age, or whether anyone should ever not have access to those things, but that's another story. That's the crazy part, but we need to get something passed. And the other thing that I would just say in terms of how we're gonna message this and talk to people about it, we have to recognize that we need people who are gonna be authentic and really able to say that they're on the side of people to then make the case for why this stuff matters. And that's one of the problems when we have a disconnect of a corporate party that isn't connected to the grassroots and doesn't have those relationships to really sell what all of this is gonna do for the American people.
Yeah, and so now, of course, the real problem is when it goes to the Senate, they are already saying, Manchin's saying he's against paid family leave, so they're just gonna take it out. So the 6 just Democrats that voted no on the infrastructure bill did that because they didn't want to lose leverage in the Senate. Well, they were 100% right.
Yep.
We have no leverage in the Senate, none. Now we could have leverage if people called out Joe Manchin and put public pressure on Manchin and Sinema, but apparently there's not a single Democrat elected right now that is willing to do that. I'm being honest with you guys, and some of those folks I love, but Bernie would not call out a fellow Democrat and really fight them publicly under penalty of law. He's not gonna do it. Nobody else is gonna do it. So they have no other leverage, and Manchin's gonna shred this bill. Sinema, and by the way, half the corporate Democrats in the Senate, those guys are just proxies. There's so many corrupt Democrats in the Senate who are gonna love taking out all the provisions that actually help you. And at the end, they'll have a joke of a bill that won't have half the stuff in there. And then they'll pass it, only the ones pre-approved by Chamber of Commerce, and then they'll call it historic. And that's how this game is played. And it'll be deeply depressing. We'll tell you that it was a joke. It'll go back to the House. I'll say vote no. Everybody will vote yes. And that's the same game that's been played my entire life in this corporate controlled country. It's controlled, it controls the Republicans 100% who all voted no because Chamber of Commerce told them not to, their donors told them not to. It controls 80% of the Democratic Party and about 100% of the mainstream media.
Yeah, effectively, look, I think that the past week or two has been so perfect in demonstrating what we have in the US government. 2 philosophies, which are not Democratic and Republican. It's progressives and the billionaire defense force. They will give you anime videos of women of color being murdered. They will terrify you about riots. Can we skip ahead to the last graphic? I want to show you literally what was being broadcast on Fox while the other networks were at least covering the fact that this bill had passed. It's that the artificial Christmas trees are in short supply. They do not want their audience to even conceive of the possibility that government could help them with the crises that face them. So they just don't cover it. Did you know, by the way, that there's another 2,000 person caravan moving its way up from Latin America? More fear, just be terrified. Your life is going to hell, your economy, your economic situation is in shambles. It'll never get better, certainly not if we're in power, but make sure that that happens because you should be very scared. There's brown people marching towards the country and you can't get a damn Christmas tree. And that's it, and then the little bit that is left in the bill is there only because of the progressives, but the other side of the billionaire defense force, the Manchins and the Cinemas, make sure that it's as small as possible. And we're like desperately trying to get through to people that there is a better way. And it is so difficult because the billionaire defense force has about 1 million times the funding that we do. Whether it comes in the form of CNN and MSNBC or Fox News and Ben Shapiro, it's all the same thing. They serve the exact same people.
All right, look, Morgan's been on with us a number of times on TYT. But now she's running for Senate in Ohio. And Morgan, it's a super difficult question, but if you were in the Senate, what would you do under these circumstances?
Fight like hell. I mean, this is why I'm running for the United States Senate, is to minimize the power of people like Sinema, Manchin, who have no desire to help the American people, who through their action are actually enabling everything that the GOP is trying to do, fearmonger and avoid any type of economic change from people living in this country. And so, the other thing I would add there is a lot of people have no idea what we're talking about, right? Because whether media is not covering it, because they're only watching Fox News. And so we have to go directly to people. I talk to people every day in Ohio. If you ask them what's in Build Back Better, they have no idea, 0 idea. That is a failure of communication. And that is only gonna change by electing people who really have the ability to connect with folks, on the ground, and also an understanding of what the policy is and a desire to get into the US Senate and really change something. So that's why we've got to flip this seat. We have to win it. We have to win it not just by a Democrat, but by a Democrat that's really gonna get in there and fight for the people.
So morganharper.org is our website, but I'm gonna say one last thing on this. Guys, when it goes to the Senate, progressives and everyone else should insist that the House version pass. And I know they're already giving up on the House version, which makes it totally, this vote that they're celebrating, since they've already unilaterally and preemptively given up on this version, the fact that it passed means, if I'm being honest with you guys, and that's my job to be honest with you guys, it really, I'd like to celebrate it. And if it passed overall, I would tell, like I told you earlier, I'd say yes and great, okay? Not great, but yes, I'll take it, okay? But this passing the House means nothing. They said already we're giving up on this version. So my point is, don't give up on it. We'll get you a petition, we'll do everything we can. We'll ask you to participate, we'll ask you to send it to Congress people, etc. But our stand has got to be pass the House version. If you don't pass the House version, then Biden's promise of just trust me, remember that's how he got the Progressive Caucus to vote for it in the House, to vote for the infrastructure bill in the House. Just trust me. Well, what did that mean? What did that mean?
Well, we're gonna find out.
If it means trust me, I'm gonna get the House version passed, I'll turn around and give Biden all the credit in the world. Because all I care about is results. All you should care about is results because it affects you. Now, and to Morgan's point, if paid family leave is in there, then every Democrat can go out there and go, we finally got you paid family leave. We were the last country, almost the last country, or certainly the last developed country that did not have paid family leave, but the Democrats delivered, and we got you paid family leave. So when you deliver a baby now, you don't have to immediately rush back to work. You're gonna have 4 weeks of paid family leave. We did that. Every Republican voted no. Every Republican wanted you to go back to work the day after you delivered a baby. Now that would be excellent framing and you would win elections. But they won't do it because they're corrupt. So they're not gonna pass paid family leave. They're gonna get Manchin to take it out and then they're gonna have nothing to run on. Democratic Party 101. Leadership is terrible. We've got to get new progressives in instantly and turn this party around. Otherwise, they're so weak, they're so hopeless that another Trump-like fascist could win in 2024. And right now, that is definitely the direction we're going in. For God's sake, pass the House version, and then yes, Morgan is right, brag about it. That's politics. You're not supposed to sit in a corner and go, oh, I don't want to offend Republicans. You're supposed to go out there and say, we did it, and these sons of bitches were gonna drive you right back into the mines the minute you delivered their baby. They're not pro-life. They're not pro-life. They hate you and your baby, and they want to drive you back for corporate profits. Corrupt sons of bitches taking money from Chamber of Commerce, taking money from all these oil interests. But our Democrats, they suck, and they don't do that, and they're never gonna do that. So brace for impact. 22 is probably gonna be a disaster. 24 could be an epic disaster because there's no leadership. If this version passes the Senate, I turn around on all that. But this version ain't gonna pass the Senate. Instead, we're gonna get the usual mealy mouth nonsense from Democratic leadership, and whatever scraps they pass, if they pass anything at all, the corporate media will cheer and call it historic, and it won't work because it won't actually affect anyone's life. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.